In the quiet, dusty village of Amiri, where red sand coated every corner and hunger lingered in many homes, lived a young woman named Glory. She was just 22, but her eyes carried the sorrow of 100 years. Since her mother's passing 5 years ago, peace had vanished from her world. Her father, Mr. Thomas, once a gentle farmer, had turned into a bitter drunk. To make things worse, he married Mrs. Grace, a heartless woman who despised Glory with every breath. They treated her like a slave, cooking, fetching firewood, sweeping the compound, farming from sunrise till nightfall, often sending her to bed without food. The villagers pitied her, but fear kept their mouths shut. No one wanted trouble with Mr. Thomas and his raging temper. Then came Harrison, a young man from the city. His clothes were worn, his shoes nearly falling apart, but his eyes were sharp and alert. For 3 months, he toiled on Mr. Thomas's farm, clearing weeds, planting cassava, hauling heavy loads day after day. But after all the labor, Mr. Thomas kept dodging his pay. "Come back next week, maybe tomorrow. I'll pay when I sell something," he always said. But the payment never came. One scorching afternoon, Harrison returned, exhausted and frustrated. "Sir, please, I need the money today," he said firmly. Mr. Thomas scratched his head and glanced around. His eyes landed on Glory, who was sweeping the compound with a weary look. Then he let out a cruel laugh. "You want money?" "Yes, sir, I worked for 3 months. I need to be paid," Harrison replied. "Then take her," Mr. Thomas said, pointing at Glory. "Take who?" Harrison asked, confused. "My daughter. She's useless anyway. Let her go with you to the city. That's your payment." Glory's heart shattered. She dropped the broom, her voice trembling. "Daddy, please, no." "Shut up," he barked. "You should be grateful someone even wants you." Mrs. Grace folded her arms and smirked. "Let her go, one less burden." Glory collapsed to her knees, begging through tears, shaking her head. But no one showed mercy. No one cared. Harrison looked at her. Though she seemed broken, something about her stood out, not just her beauty, but a quiet strength in her spirit. "She's beautiful," he muttered. "What did you say?" Mr. Thomas asked. "I'll take her," Harrison replied. And just like that, Glory's fate took a new turn. Tears filled her eyes as she stuffed her few clothes into a black plastic bag. No one hugged her. No one wished her well. Her little half-brother, Sam, peeked from behind the house, crying silently as he waved goodbye. Glory followed Harrison toward the unknown. The journey to the city was long, dusty, and draining. The bus rumbled past towns, forests, and empty roads. Glory sat by the window, gazing outside, her thoughts heavy. She had just left the only home she'd ever known, even if it was filled with sorrow. She didn't know what lay ahead, or who Harrison really was. But deep in her heart, she whispered a prayer. "Lord, please, don't let him be cruel like my father. Please, give me peace. I'm tired." Harrison stayed mostly silent during the ride. His eyes were locked on the road ahead, deep in thought. Now and then, he'd steal a glance at Glory and let out a quiet sigh. She looked exhausted, fragile, like someone who had carried too much sorrow for too long. Eventually, they arrived in the city. Everything looked unfamiliar. Tall buildings stretched into the sky, cars with bright headlights zipped past, people hurried by, and the air buzzed with noise. Glory clutched her bag tightly, trying not to appear lost. She had never seen a place like this before. They boarded a small tricycle that took them to the end of a calm street. Harrison paid the fare, then led her down a narrow path lined with flowers. They stopped in front of a tall black gate. He knocked, and moments later, it creaked open slowly. Glory gasped. Her lips parted, but no words came. The compound was wide and spotless. The main house stood proud, painted white, like something out of a dream. Flowers bordered the walkway, and in the corner, a small fountain gurgled softly. They walked past the main house and arrived at a modest but tidy building at the back. It had one bedroom, a small living area, a kitchen, and a bathroom. It was known as the boys' quarters. "This is where I stay," Harrison said with a gentle smile. Glory glanced around. It was simple, but peaceful. "I just got hired a few days ago as a security man," he added. "The woman who owns the house was kind enough to give me this place for free." Glory stared at him, surprised. "Really?" He nodded. "Yes. She lives in the main house with her only son. As long as I keep the place safe, I can stay here." She looked at the small house again. It wasn't grand like the mansion in front, but to her, it felt like paradise. It had a roof that didn't leak, a door that locked, and a proper bed with clean sheets, so much better than the old mat she had slept on in her father's kitchen. For the first time in years, she allowed a small smile to appear. "If this is what God planned for me, then I accept it," she whispered. Harrison turned to her. "Are you okay with this?" She nodded slowly. "Yes. I feel peace. I haven't felt this way in so long." 2 days later, Glory woke up to the smell of something sweet coming from the kitchen. The morning sun gently streamed in through the window. She sat up, stretched, and looked around. For the first time in what felt like forever, she had slept deeply, no yelling, no fear, no pain, just peace. She stepped into the kitchen and found Harrison flipping something in a frying pan. "Good morning," she said softly. He turned and smiled. "Morning, Glory. I made some breakfast. Hope you slept well." She nodded. "Like a baby." They both laughed lightly. After breakfast, Harrison said, "Go get ready. I want you to meet someone." "Who?" she asked, curious. "You'll see," he replied. "Just wear something neat and simple." She returned to the room and slipped into a soft gown Harrison had bought for her. She brushed her hair and stepped out, her heart pounding. They walked together, following a short path that led to the main house. The tall black door swung open, and a graceful woman in her late 50s stood at the entrance. Her eyes were warm, and her presence calm. "Good morning, Ma," Harrison greeted. "Morning, Harrison. And who is this beautiful young lady?" "This is Glory, my wife," Harrison answered. Mrs. Walker's eyes lit up as she looked at Glory. "So, this is the wife you told me about. She's lovely. Come in, my dear." Glory stepped in slowly, her eyes wide. The living room sparkled, everything looked expensive and elegant. Mrs. Walker gently held her hand. "You're welcome, Glory. I already like you. There's something sweet about your spirit. I'm glad Harrison brought you." Glory smiled shyly. "Thank you, Ma. You can call me Mrs. Walker," she said warmly. "This house has enough space for peace. If you need anything, just let me know." "Yes, Ma," Glory replied softly. After a short chat, they returned to the boys' quarters. That evening, after sweeping the kitchen and tidying the room, Glory sat on the edge of the bed, deep in thought. Harrison was on the floor, fixing a loose handle on the wardrobe. "Harrison," she called gently. "Yes," he looked up. "Can I share something with you?" "Of course." She sighed, her fingers twisting nervously. "When my father gave me away to you, I felt worthless. Like I was being discarded, like I didn't matter." Harrison stood up slowly, listening intently. "I thought maybe you'd be even worse than him. That once we got here, you'd start shouting, maybe beat me, treat me like nothing." Her voice cracked as tears welled in her eyes. "But you didn't. You gave me peace. You gave me space. You respected me, you even cooked for me." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't regret coming with you anymore. I'm not angry my father gave me to you. I think, maybe it was part of God's plan. Harrison sat beside her and gently took her hand. I would never hurt you, Glory, he said quietly. That's not the kind of man I am. I want to be. He paused. Then added, you know something? I liked you long before all this. The very first day I saw you on the farm. Glory turned to him, eyes wide. Really? I wanted to speak to your father, Harrison continued. But I was scared. I thought he'd mock me, insult me, maybe even chase me off. I had nothing to offer. He gave a small, soft smile. But that day, when he said I should take you instead of paying me, I was stunned. Yet, somewhere deep down, I felt hope. Like something had opened. Glory lowered her gaze. I don't love you yet, Harrison. I know, he said quickly. And I'm not in a hurry. She nodded slowly. But I like how you treat me. Like I matter. Like I'm not a burden. Like I'm worth something. He smiled wider. That's because you are, Glory. You're royalty. Just hidden in the wrong palace. Glory let out a quiet laugh, wiping a tear from her cheek. For the first time, she felt truly seen. Love hadn't entered fully yet, but something else was blooming, something just as precious: respect, peace, trust. A month later, things had started to look brighter for Glory. She spent time cooking in the boys' quarters, trying out new meals, even jotting down recipes in a little notebook Harrison had given her. Slowly, her confidence was returning. One sunny afternoon, she was helping Mrs. Walker carry groceries inside the house when the woman stopped and called softly, "Glory, come sit with me a minute." Glory wiped her hands and sat beside her. Mrs. Walker smiled kindly. "Do you know Harrison told me something very sweet about you," she said. Glory looked surprised but curious. "Ma?" She nodded. "He said you're an excellent cook. And I agree. I've been watching you. You're humble, hardworking, and your heart is beautiful." "Thank you, Ma," Glory replied shyly. Mrs. Walker went on. "My cook recently moved overseas with her family. I need someone I can trust to take over, and I believe you're that person." Glory's mouth dropped open. Tears gathered quickly. "Ah. Ma. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means. May God bless you." I'm speechless." Mrs. Walker patted her hand. "You deserve it. You've earned it. You're a good girl." Still trembling with joy, Glory wiped her face and said, "Ma, can I tell you something?" "Of course, dear. I've been praying for a way to earn some money. Not for clothes or luxuries, but so I can go to school. I want to finish my education. I dream of going to university." Mrs. Walker's eyes lit up. "You want to go to university?" "Yes, Ma. I stopped after secondary school because of everything that happened. But I love learning. I've always wanted to return." Without hesitation, Mrs. Walker leaned in and hugged her. "Oh, my child. I believe in education. And I admire girls who chase knowledge. That's a beautiful dream, and I'm proud of you." Glory's heart was full. "Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much." As soon as she was done in the kitchen, she ran back to the boys' quarters, her slippers slapping against the floor. "Harrison! Harrison!" she shouted, full of joy. He came out quickly. "What? Why are you yelling like that?" "You won't believe it," she beamed. "Mrs. Walker just asked me to be her new cook." "Wait, are you serious?" Harrison asked, his eyes wide. "Yes. And she said she'll pay me every month. I also told her about wanting to go to university, and she was so happy. Harrison pulled her into a big hug. "That's my wife. My classy, educated wife." Glory blushed and laughed. "Ah, Harrison, don't start." "No, I mean it," he said, holding her hands. "Look how far you've come, from that dusty village to this city. From tears, to laughter. From rejection to celebration." She nodded, still smiling. "It feels like a dream." "And the most amazing thing?" Harrison said. "The dream is only just beginning." That night, after dinner, Glory and Harrison lay quietly on the bed, side by side, eyes on the ceiling. The day had been beautiful, but her mind was still wide awake. After a long silence, she turned gently toward him. "Harrison," she said softly. "Yes," he replied without looking away from the ceiling. "Can I ask something?" "Anything." She took a slow breath. "Why haven't you, touched me since I came here?" Harrison turned to her, surprised. He hadn't expected that. Glory continued, "I mean, we're married. Another man would have done it the first night." Harrison sat up quietly, leaning his back against the wall. His voice was calm and steady. "You're right, Glory. Many men would have done that. But, I'm not just any man, Glory," Harrison said gently. "I didn't bring you here to use you." His voice was steady, his eyes kind. "I brought you here to care for you, to protect you, to love you." He paused for a long moment, then looked into her eyes. "You've been through so much. Even when you smile, I still see pain hiding underneath. I don't want to add to that." Glory's eyes shimmered. "I want you to be ready, Glory. I want you to love me first, really love me. Then, when your heart is free and peaceful, you'll choose me. Not because you're afraid. Not because you owe me. But because you want to." He reached out and held her hand with gentle care. "I know you've never been with a man before. I know you've carried rejection, fear, and shame like heavy bags for too long. That night, when your father gave you away like you were nothing, it broke something inside you." Her breath hitched. She looked down, heart racing. "But hear me, Glory. You are not nothing. You are everything. You are strong. You are precious." He looked at her deeply. "And when that time comes, when love leads, not pressure, I'll be ready too." A tear slipped down Glory's cheek. She had never heard words like these in her life. "You really mean all this?" she whispered. "I do," Harrison replied softly. "I want you to feel safe with me. This marriage, this home, it must be built on love. Not fear." She wiped her tears, smiling through them. "Thank you, Harrison," she whispered. "You've changed so much in my life. I used to think all men were like my father. But you're different." He leaned in and kissed her forehead gently. "Sleep well, my queen." Glory lay back, heart full. For the first time, she felt truly safe in the arms of a man, not just a husband, but a friend. 2 days later, something unusual happened. That morning, Glory was in the main house kitchen, cooking Mrs. Walker's favorite vegetable soup. She had just finished slicing the ugu leaves when the door opened. She turned, and froze. A tall, handsome young man stood in the doorway, staring at her. It was Daniel, Mrs. Walker's only son. He looked surprised at first, then smiled. "Damn. You're beautiful." Glory blinked, unsure how to respond. "My mom told me about you," Daniel continued, stepping slowly into the kitchen. "Said you were smart, humble, and beautiful. But honestly, I thought she was just exaggerating." He leaned against the counter, his eyes scanning her. "Wow. God must have taken his time with you. You're stunning." Glory felt uneasy. She looked away quickly and focused on the vegetables. "Good afternoon, sir," she said softly, hoping to shift the mood. Daniel chuckled. "Don't call me sir now. I'm just a regular guy. Call me Daniel." She shook her head slightly. "I can't. It's not proper." He laughed again. "You're polite. I like that." But Glory didn't respond. She kept working in silence. After a few moments, Daniel turned and walked out, still smiling. That evening, when Glory returned to the boys' quarters, Harrison was waiting outside on a wooden bench. "Welcome, my queen," he said, cheerful as always. "How was your day?" Glory sat beside him, her expression a bit troubled. "Harrison, something happened today." His smile faded as he turned to her. "What is it? Are you okay?" "I'm fine," she said. "But, your boss's son, Daniel, came into the kitchen." Harrison's brow lifted slightly. "Okay. He said some things that made me uncomfortable," she said quietly. "He called me beautiful. He said God must have made me on a Sunday morning. And he told me to stop calling him sir, that I should just call him Daniel." Harrison frowned a little, then gave a half-smile. "Ah, Daniel. He's always been a bit dramatic. That's how he talks." Glory didn't laugh. "Harrison. I didn't like the way he looked at me. It was like I was something to eat." Harrison chuckled softly and reached for her hand. "It's okay, my beautiful wife. Don't let it get to you. Daniel talks a lot, but he's harmless. That's just how he is." Glory looked him in the eyes. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," he said gently. "But if he ever crosses the line, tell me right away." "I'll always protect you," Harrison said softly. Glory nodded slowly. "Okay, if you say so." He smiled and kissed her forehead. "You're safe with me, Glory. Always." But deep inside, something still felt off. There was a look in Daniel's eyes she couldn't shake, something unsettling she couldn't explain. A few days later, Glory was back in the kitchen preparing lunch. She didn't know someone was watching her from the corner. It was Daniel, again. He entered slowly, leaning against the door. "You know," he said with a grin, "there's something special about the way you cook." Glory turned and greeted him politely, "Good afternoon, sir." He ignored the greeting. "Glory, I've been thinking," he said, stepping closer. "I don't want to waste your time, so I'll go straight to the point." She paused, unsure of what was coming. "I like you," Daniel said, his voice lower now. "Seriously. You're beautiful, smart, hardworking, and I'm not just flattering you. I want you to be my girl." Glory blinked in shock. "Sir." He smiled wider. "Listen, I'll change your life. I'll sponsor you, school abroad, if you want. London. Canada. Anywhere. I'll buy you a new phone, clothes, money every month. You'll never have to struggle again." She stood still, stunned. Daniel stepped even closer. "You're wasting your time with that poor security man. What's he done for you?" "Nothing. I could have him sacked or paid off today. Just say yes to me, my love, and your life will never be the same." Glory took a deep breath and stepped back. Her voice was calm, but firm. "With all due respect, sir. I'm not interested." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "What?" "I'm focused on my marriage, my work, and my dream of going to school. I'm not going to throw that away for quick pleasure." He laughed harshly. "Marriage? You're calling that thing with Harrison a marriage? You should be ashamed. At your age, you should be dating someone like me, not wasting time with a broke security guard." But Glory stood her ground. "I'm not ashamed. I'm proud of my husband. He treats me with love and respect. He may not have much now, but I believe one day, God will bless him. He's a good man. Daniel scoffed. You're dreaming. I'd rather dream with a man who truly loves me than live a lie with someone who only wants to use me, she replied boldly. He shook his head. You'll regret this. No, sir, she said, her voice unwavering. If standing by the man who stood by me is a mistake, then I'll gladly make it again and again. Daniel stared at her for a long second, then turned and walked out, clearly displeased. Later that evening, Glory returned to the boys' quarters. Harrison noticed the change in her mood immediately. My queen, you're quiet. Are you okay? He asked, concern in his voice. She looked at him, tears quietly welling in her eyes. Daniel came to me again. Harrison sat up straighter. What did he do? He made big promises, she said softly. School abroad. Money. Clothes. A new life. But only if I agreed to be his girl. Harrison stood slowly, his fists clenching at his sides. He said he could pay you off, or have your boss sack me, Glory added. Harrison's eyes darkened with anger, but he calmed when he saw the pain in her face. What did you tell him? He asked gently. I told him no, she said. I told him I'm not interested. I told him I believe in you, in us, Glory said softly. I know one day, God will bless you. Harrison looked at her, deeply moved. He pulled her into a warm embrace and held her tightly. Thank you, Glory. Thank you for standing by me. She smiled, wiping away a tear. You stood by me first. Now it's my turn. That night, they prayed together before bed, their hearts full of love and unity. The next morning, Glory woke up early, but her heart felt heavy. She was tired of pretending, tired of forcing smiles while carrying the weight of discomfort deep inside. Daniel's words still echoed in her mind. She had tried to ignore them. She had tried to stay silent. But now, she'd had enough. She walked straight to the main house and knocked gently. Mrs. Walker opened the door, her usual warm smile on her face. Glory, my daughter. Good morning. I hope you slept well. Good morning, Ma, Glory replied quietly, her eyes cast downward. Mrs. Walker immediately noticed the change in her expression and stepped aside. Come in, come in. What's wrong, my dear? You don't look like yourself. Glory took a deep breath. Ma, I came to talk to you. Please, don't be angry. Mrs. Walker sat down slowly, her smile fading into concern. Of course not, my dear. Talk to me. Glory spoke with calm but steady resolve. It's about your son. Daniel. Mrs. Walker blinked in surprise. Daniel? What about him? Glory's voice did not waver. He's been disturbing me, Ma. Saying things that make me very uncomfortable. He's promised me money, a better life, even school abroad, if I'll agree to leave my husband and be with him. He even said he'd pay Harrison off or get him sacked just to have me. Mrs. Walker's mouth opened slightly in shock. Ma, Glory continued, her voice trembling a little, I respect you. I respect this house. But I can't keep quiet anymore. There was a long silence. Then Mrs. Walker leaned back in her seat, folding her arms. You're a beautiful, wise girl, Glory, she said softly. You deserve a better life. Maybe my son just sees your potential. Maybe you should give him a chance. Glory's eyes widened. Ma. Mrs. Walker's tone grew firmer. I'm not saying you should leave your husband recklessly, but think about it. We can give you everything, education, comfort. Even your husband will benefit. We can pay him to walk away. This is a good opportunity for you. Glory stood slowly. Her hands began to shake, but her voice was strong. With all due respect, Ma. I'm not that kind of woman. Mrs. Walker was silent. I didn't come here to sell myself, Glory continued. I didn't marry Harrison for money. I married him because when the world turned its back on me, he stood by me. When my own father gave me away like a bag of yam, Harrison gave me dignity. Tears welled in her eyes, but she kept speaking. Ma, I'd rather quit this job than be with someone I don't love. I will never betray my husband. Never. Mrs. Walker opened her mouth to speak, but Glory raised her hand politely. I'm sorry, Ma. But I'm done here. If your son doesn't stop this nonsense, we'll leave. I won't stay in a house where I'm disrespected. Without waiting for a response, she turned and walked out, tears in her eyes but her head held high. As she marched back to the boys' quarters, her heart burned. She couldn't believe what had just happened. How could a woman she respected try to buy her like a loaf of bread? How could someone speak of love like it had no value? She wiped her tears fiercely as she walked, each step strong and certain. She was angry. She was hurt. But more than anything, she was sure of one thing: she loved Harrison. But when she entered the room, she froze. Bundles of money, neatly stacked, sat on the small table in the corner. Her mouth fell open in shock. Harrison, what's going on? She asked. Where did you get this money? Harrison stood slowly from the bed. He looked calm. Quiet. His eyes soft. My love, he said gently, come and sit down. Still staring at the money, Glory walked over and sat, her heart pounding. Talk to me, Harrison. What is all this? Glory asked, her eyes still fixed on the bundles of cash. Harrison smiled. This money. I've been saving it for a long time, little by little. I plan to use it to start my own business. That's been my dream since I came to this city. But today, when I saw the kind of woman you are, how you defended me, rejected wealth, and chose love, I told myself, you deserve better. Glory was still confused. But what has that got to do with me? He pointed to the money again. I want you to use this money, for your education. I know how much you want to go to university, you've talked about it so many times. It's your dream. So take it. Go to school. I'll be fine. Glory was speechless. She looked from the money back to him. No, she said softly, shaking her head. I'm serious, Glory, Harrison said gently. And I'm serious too, she replied, standing up. No, Harrison. Never. He looked surprised. Why? Her voice was firm now, full of passion. This is your dream, Harrison. You saved this money with sweat and hard work to start a business. And now you want to throw it all away for me. But I love you. And I love you too, he said. She stepped closer, tears brimming in her eyes. That's why we need to use this money wisely. Let's rent a small room outside this compound. Let's start a business together. You can run it. I'll help you cook, manage, anything. And when it starts growing, I'll go to school. One step at a time. Harrison stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You want us to leave this house? He asked. Yes, Glory said firmly. I don't want to stay here anymore, not with your boss and her son treating us like we're nothing. We deserve peace. Even if it's small, let it be ours. A shop. A rented room. A new start. That's what I want. Harrison walked over, took her hand, and shook his head in awe. Glory, you are not just beautiful. You are wise. You are special. You're everything I prayed for. She smiled through her tears. And you're the only man I want. He pulled her close, his eyes misty with emotion. Thank you for standing by me. I will always stand by you, she whispered. Then came the kiss, full of real love. Not because of money. Not out of pressure. But because of trust. Because of unity. Because two people who had nothing, still had each other. That night, they lay in each other's arms. They didn't talk much, just quiet peace, soft laughter, and a deep sense of hope. As the moonlight streamed through the window, Glory whispered, "Our better days are coming." And Harrison answered, "Yes, my queen. Step by step, we'll get there. Together." The next morning, Harrison wasn't home. Glory woke early, swept the room, and cleaned everywhere, but her heart remained heavy. She kept thinking about everything, the confrontation with Mrs. Walker, Daniel's behavior, the offer they'd made, and her bold decision to walk away from it all. Just as she sat down to rest, there was a knock on the door. She opened it, and froze. Mrs. Walker and Daniel were standing outside. Glory didn't speak. "Good morning, my daughter," Mrs. Walker said gently. "Please, we came to apologize." Daniel added quietly, "Yes. Please forgive us." Glory stepped aside and let them in. Mrs. Walker sat down, her eyes kind and sincere. "We are so sorry, for everything. For what my son said. For what I said, too. We were wrong." Daniel lowered his head. "I was foolish. I let pride and bad behavior blind me. But now I see clearly. Harrison is lucky. You're a real wife." Mrs. Walker nodded in agreement. "Yes. He's very lucky to have someone like you. You are special, Glory. Women like you are rare." Glory's eyes softened. She sat quietly, listening. "We called you our wife yesterday," Mrs. Walker continued with a soft smile. "And we meant it. You are our wife." Glory gave a small, humble smile. "Thank you, Ma. I'm not angry anymore," Glory said softly. "I forgive you." Mrs. Walker's smile grew warmer. Then she said something that made Glory frown slightly. "You are my son's wife." Glory blinked. "Your son?" Mrs. Walker chuckled. "Don't worry, my dear. You'll understand soon." After a few more minutes, they hugged her and left. Glory stood at the door, confused. What did she mean by that? Later that evening, Harrison returned home. He looked tired but happy. Glory turned sharply toward him. "Where have you been all day?" "I've been waiting for you." "My love," he said gently, "there's something I need to tell you." Glory folded her arms. "What now?" Harrison took her hands in his and looked her straight in the eyes. "Glory, I'm sorry." She raised an eyebrow. "Sorry for what?" He took a deep breath. "For lying to you." Glory's face changed. "Lying about what?" He sat down, his voice quiet but clear. "Daniel is not just the landlady's son. He's my younger brother. And Mrs. Walker? She's not my boss. She's my mother." Glory gasped. "What? Harrison. You mean all this time?" He nodded. "Yes. I'm truly sorry, Glory. I never meant to lie for this long. I needed to know if someone could love me for me, not for my background or money." He looked down, guilt in his eyes. "I've been heartbroken too many times. Women pretended to love me, but they only wanted my wealth. They left when I stopped giving. I was tired of being used." Glory sat down, stunned. "You went far, Harrison. You shouldn't have done that." "I know, my love. You have every right to be angry. Please, forgive me." There was a heavy silence, then a playful smile crept across Glory's face. "Okay, fine. I forgive you, but you owe me." He chuckled. "Oh. What do I owe you? She grinned. A car. And a mansion. For lying to me. Harrison burst out laughing. That's nothing, my queen. Consider it done. Glory laughed too and jumped into his arms. I love you so much, Harrison, she whispered. And I love you even more. Dr. Glory to be, he replied, hugging her tightly. They kissed, deeply, joyfully. No more secrets. No more pretending. The truth was out. And their love stood strong. The news spread fast. Harrison, the poor security man, was actually a billionaire. When Glory's father heard, he nearly choked on his palm wine. His eyes bulged in shock, and he grabbed his phone immediately. My daughter, please forgive me, he begged in a trembling voice. I was blind. I didn't know God had blessed you like this. Glory was silent for a moment, then replied calmly. I forgive you, sir. But I want to stay far away from you and your wicked wife. I have peace now. I suffered too much in your house. Her voice became firm. If you ever need help with something important, you can call. But don't call me for nonsense. And take good care of your miserable wife. She ended the call and dropped the phone. Then she looked up, eyes full of gratitude. Thank you, Jesus, for bringing Harrison into my life. Years later. Glory walked across the graduation stage in a white coat, her head held high. She was now a qualified medical doctor. In the crowd, Harrison shouted louder than anyone. That's my wife. Come here, you beautiful big woman. After the ceremony, he hugged her tightly. I'm so proud of you, baby. You are mine, forever. Thank you for believing in me, she whispered. Thank you for believing in me, he said, holding her close. You are the world's best husband. And you, he replied, are my forever queen. One peaceful afternoon, Harrison took Glory for a quiet drive. They entered a big estate and stopped in front of a massive white mansion with golden gates. Glory looked around, confused. Why are we here? Harrison smiled and pulled out a bunch of keys. This is your mansion, my queen. Glory's eyes widened. Harrison, stop playing. I'm serious, he said with a grin. I promised you a car and a mansion. And here they are. She screamed with joy, hugging him tightly, laughing and crying at once. I also have good news, she said, stepping back. What is it? He asked, smiling. I went for a test last week. I'm 3 months pregnant. Harrison froze, then shouted with joy. Glory! Are you serious? Yes, she laughed. We're going to have a baby. He lifted her off the ground and spun her around, laughing from the depths of his soul. God, thank you. I will spoil you and our baby forever. He knelt down and kissed her belly. My baby. Daddy loves you already. Glory smiled through tears. From being rejected, to becoming royalty, she said. Truly, my name is Glory. Dear viewers. What lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest stories. Thanks for watching.